yourself comfortable.
Mayor, we're live on YouTube whenever you want.
Okay, thank you.
There's nothing on there.
You ready?
Recording in progress.
Welcome. Welcome everyone to the Chatham Township Committee meeting of October 22nd, 2024. We have come from executive session, so our clerk has confirmed that adequate notice is given, and we've gone through a roll call, so I will ask everybody to stand and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I don't know if folks who are dialed in can get a sense of the buzz in the room, but this is an exciting evening. I have the honor and privilege of thanking and honoring some of our longtime community volunteers who, you know, it's amazing when you meet people who are synonymous. Their name is synonymous with the work they do, because you know it's a long time of dedication and commitment to helping our town and our residents and just make Chatham Township the wonderful place that it is to live. So we do value their work, and we wanted to make sure to honor two proclamations, three people. Although sometimes the Wells sisters seem like they're the Bobbsey twins, but yes, Pat and Martha Wells and Joe Bezralian. So I want to thank everybody for coming and to honor them. So I wanted to start with Pat and Martha, and like I said, names are synonymous, and theirs are synonymous with the Historical Society, but also just making sure we remember our history and the amazing place that we live, and all that goes into where we are. We have a rich history here in Chatham Township, and everything from the Native Americans that lived here, to artifacts, amazing artifacts that are found in the area. They're just a wealth of information, and to listen to the stories that they tell, they will take, a story from 100 years ago and make it sound like they're talking about the person down the road, and it just really connects you with our history. And I do so appreciate, I've learned so much from them, and they put in so much time. The most recent effort being our restoration of our red brick schoolhouse. So I truly thank you for all that you've done, your years and years of dedicated service. Whereas Pat and Martha Wells have led the Chatham Township Historical Society for the past 11 years, and whereas Pat and Martha Wells led the recent exterior restoration of the red brick schoolhouse museum, including securing funding for over $500,000, and whereas Pat and Martha Wells have written many stories for local publications and have given numerous presentations educating residents about Chatham Township's rich history, about historical events and people, and about artifacts, and whereas Pat and Martha Wells are both members of the Garden Club of the Chathams, working to do plantings to beautify the Chathams, and whereas both Pat and Martha Wells volunteer their time with the Great Swamp Watershed Association, and whereas Martha Wells is a member of the Morris County Preservation Trust Fund and is secretary of the Morris County Heritage Commission, and whereas Pat Wells is a member of the Chatham Township Environmental Commission, now therefore I, Stacy Ewald, as mayor of Chatham Township, present Pat and Martha Wells with Chatham Township Citizen Awards in recognition of their various contributions to the Chatham community in a variety of service roles. So before I bring you up to give you your awards and to give you your pins, I know there's a lot of people who would like to say words of appreciation to you both. So, and I will give you also the floor at some point, but I will embarrass you first and have other people come up and sing your praises. So I'm going to open the mic for anybody who'd like to come up and thank Pat and Martha for all their years of work.
I'm just going to jump in first as the liaison to the Historical Society from the Township Committee. And every time there's a meeting, I so look forward to it, and I leave the meeting wiser than when I came in. It's such a light and wonderful and fun environment. There's so many stories. There's so much history in Chatham. I've lived here for I don't even know, more than 20 years. And there's so much to know. And I'm so grateful for Pat and Martha for doing this and continuing the legacy of Chatham Township. And, you know, they could not be the nicest, most gracious, and hardworking people. We're already talking about, you know, America's 250th birthday, and we're all so excited. But I really want to tell you that it's such a joy. I walk home from there, and I'm so happy, and I go home and I tell my family all the stories, and I'm really grateful.
Yeah, don't be shy. Come on up.
It's such a delight to be here on a night of such positivity, I have to say. So, it's Bob Ewald, Nicholson Drive. So when people ask me what I love about our town, I always have to say such a key point is that I've met some of the most amazing women in any place I've ever lived, accomplished, smart, knowledgeable, so dedicated, so engaged. And no two people exemplify those qualities better than Pat and Martha. I'm just amazed at how incredibly they're able to bring history to life and make it so much fun for me. On a beautiful April day, a Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Pat, and with the help of Martha, put on a presentation on the history of the Great Swamp. And I was so excited to go, but I thought, boy, you know, it's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. I'm wondering how many people are going to be there. Well, we got there, and more people came in, and the room got packed, and they had to bring more and more chairs in. And everyone who was there, and I'm sure many of you were, was so delighted that they went. And the really great thing was the ages were from little kids to old adults. It really, Pat and Martha can keep you on the edge of your seat. And I have to tell you, Martha is my favorite storyteller. When Martha reads old letters from the past or news articles, she just brings it so to life for me. You laugh, you feel like you're there. She just brings you to that place and time. And I just have to say that Mayor Ewald and I, we just always say how fortunate we feel and how lucky we are to know you both and have you both, and how lucky this town is to have the treasures that you both are. So I just want to say thank you, Martha and Pat.
Good evening. Michael Kelly on the Historical Board of Trustees. And just want to recognize Martha and Pat as the heart and soul of the organization. And I think it's interchangeable. One time one is the heart and the other was soul. And then they switch places. But it's a joy to serve on the committee that you head. And thank you very much for all you do.
Joe Bezralian, Fairfax Terrace. Martha and Pat, you give me a sense of awe and wonder for where I live and who I've lived with and who's been here before and how we got here. And I think that is an incredible privilege to not just live somewhere and go about your daily life, but to have a real sense of wonder of what is around us and what's been here. And I appreciate that personally very deeply. Thank you for all you do. Oh, and thank you to the volunteers in the front of the room as well, to all of you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lori DiBiase from 310 River Road. I'm the president of the Town and Country Garden Club of the Chathams, and I couldn't let this moment go by without pointing out all that Martha and Pat do for the Garden Club. Probably just as much as they do for the Historical Society. We're very active in the community, planting and beautifying in different areas, and Pat and Martha keep us honest with using native plants and help us plant them. And we appreciate them very much. Thank you.
Oh, okay, we have one more audience. Okay.
Hi, Kathy Woodward, River Road, and I'm on the board of Friends of Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge. Pat and Martha also volunteers so much at the refuge, and they are editors of our newsletter that comes out several times a year. They are so great in rolling everything together because, of course, you know, the symbol was surrounding Great Swamp. They bring the historical aspects to Great Swamp, and they bring the Great Swamp to the Historical Society too. They say that one of the most popular things when they bring the kids from Southern Boulevard is that incredibly quiche diorama that's there with little deer and big raccoons, but the kids love it, and it gets them out to the refuge and the treasures we have there. So Pat and Martha, thank you for volunteering, thank you for bringing so many things together, and go native plants. Yeah.
We have somebody on the Zoom?
Hi, this is Jessica Romeo on Pine Street. I just want to say that we are so lucky to have you both, Pat and Martha. You bring so much joy to learning about our community. And Pat, I don't know what we would do without you on the Environmental Commission. You're just excited about everything. You're the first one to raise your hand and volunteer. So this is so well deserved, and we're grateful for you both. Thanks.
I'm just sorry they didn't bring their dog with them.
Yeah. And the bird. And the cat.
You know, just to give a sense of the, you could tell the scope of what they do, but you know, it's not just the storytelling. They do everything from interviewing people and getting the histories from the people they interview, to preserving and dealing with the archiving of all kinds of information, to on a Sunday, if you go there from 2 to 4 at the Red Brick Schoolhouse, there's a good chance that whatever setup is in the room for that month, they've had a huge part in deciding, you know, what artifacts are there in the room, how it's presented. They've rigged things up. You know, if you see a quilt in the middle of the room and I say, how did that get up there? And they're like, well, we did that. You know, they'll figure that out. But it's that, but it's also going through thousands of pages to figure out how to get grant money to, you know, restore the Red Brick Schoolhouse. So the scope of what they do is so invaluable to our community, and I really thank you for everything you've done over the years, and I look forward to all that's to come. Thank you.
So do we get to see?
Do you want to? Okay, why don't you speak first, and then I'll give you the award.
So we get to say thank you too, because it's not just us. It is also our membership, our board of officers and trustees, the township committee, and especially the liaisons, because after you're not on the committee anymore, you come and you're part of the trustees, right, Mike? And Celeste? And Celeste. And we'd also like to thank the township administration, Z, Greg, and the DPW, the police. We're the most protected building in the town.
Mm-hmm.
And
they love our parking
The fire
lot.
department, yes, they're cookies. The Town and Country Garden Club, and the Morris County Historic Preservation Trust Fund, and the New Jersey Historic Trust for their just wonderful grants. More than generous. Yeah.
Yes, okay. And also, while I have a moment after all the thank yous, I want to announce that this Friday we have a new gallery opening right outside here. It'll be up for several months, but the opening is this Friday from 6 to 8. There will be food and libations, and it will be photographs of the Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge, flora and fauna, and the landscapes, because this year is the 60th anniversary of the dedication of the Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge. And if it weren't for that, we would be standing on a Jutport runway right now. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next honoree, similar to Pat and Martha equal Historical Society, Open Space equals Joe Bezralian. Anytime the topic of open space comes up, the first person we call is Joe Bezralian. He's an amazing wealth of information. He could cite any spot in town. He'll remember, if the NJDEP has had any, documentation related to that property. He knows the size of the property. He knows the history of the property. So he's just been a fabulous resource. We're thrilled he's joined our Affordable Housing Advisory Committee because we know he's just going to be such a tremendous help in that effort. I truly thank you. So not only I know him from all his open space work, but behind the scenes, he with his wife started the Troop 280, which is the first Girl Scout or all girls troop within BSA, which was the Boy Scouts of America. So they had started that, and that group has grown. But with their troop, they've done a lot of work in the community to benefit you'll just show up and find this fabulous trail, and they've been clearing it for years. Or the trail that's over the Great Swamp Conservation Trail, the Green Village Conservation Trail, it's in the Green Village area. It started out years ago. There was some efforts to clear, and then he brought his scouts in, and they continued to clear the rest, and they put some bridges in, some wooden structures so you can get across. I mean, they just did an amazing job. And then his daughter was thinking about what was her, I think it was the Gold Award project, and worked with another committee member, Celeste Fondaco, and created the trail that's over by the Shunpike overflow parking lot next to the church over there. There's a trail, it's in there, a beautiful trail, it's tucked in, and that was through their efforts. So, and then there's also the Hillside Trail. So when your open space and trails, Joe Bezralian is your person to go to. So we so appreciate everything you've done. Our acquisitions in town, Joe is instrumental in getting us funding and helping to facilitate funding and in doing the work that needs to be done behind the scenes to make sure those acquisitions of open space are secured. So really such a benefit, Joe and the Wells sisters, in a profound way. If you really think about it, it's going to affect generations. It's just amazing. We're not losing historical information thanks to you two, and we've got so much open space thanks to you. I mean, it's amazing the contributions you've made. So I thank you very much. Whereas Joe Bezralian has been a member of the Open Space Committee since 2010, serving in the role of chairman since 2011, and has been an invaluable resource to the committee in the evaluation of sensitive lands, parks, and trails. And whereas Mr. Bezralian has been instrumental to the acquisition of funding which allowed the township to purchase the 7-acre Fenske property for open space purposes, and whereas Mr. Bezralian helped facilitate the township's acquisition of the Giralda Farms Preserve, and whereas in 2019 Mr. Bezralian formed BSA Troop 280, the first female scout chapter in Chatham Township, when the Boy Scouts of America went co-ed, and whereas Mr. Bezralian worked with his scout troop to extend and improve the Green Village Conservation Trail and to build the Shunpike Trail, and he worked with the township on planning and development of the Hillside Trail, and whereas Mr. Bezralian encouraged the County of Morris to pursue connectivity of their trail system, which allowed the township to get funding to support the new trail extension from Lewanika to Nash Field, now therefore I, Stacy Ewald, as mayor of Township, present to Joe Bezralian a Chatham Township Citizen Award in recognition of his various contributions to the Chatham community in a variety of service roles. So I invite the committee and any residents who want to come up and speak to feel free.
Those of us at the Historical Society would particularly like to thank Joe for all of his work on the Dixie-Dale Corn Crib, which is sort of becoming an ancillary part of our museum, the only way we can ever have an expanded museum. And he's just done a great job on that, and we really appreciate all the work he's done for that. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, committee, for honoring Pat and Martha. I had no idea you were being honored tonight. I heard about Joe kind of at the last minute, but all the wonderful work. I used to say we need to digitize and record everything you do, because some of the presentations just been amazing over the years, and we just need to capture it for history. And you can understand and respect that. So thank you for all you do. And now Joe, the man, the open space man, he has been involved in everything, certainly that I've been involved in. And he's always working behind the scenes, the phone calls, the digitized maps, the have you thought about, did you do this, what do you think about that? He was there in certainly in Giralda. The one I like, which I'm not sure, Madam Mayor, if you mentioned it, what we jokingly referred to as 7 Acre Wood on Snake Hill Drive. That was very complex, and Joe was instrumental. There was a woman. It was owned by 3 people. I would say they all didn't get along, kind of, but we managed to build that trust and respect with the lead owner, and we were able to purchase that property at a very fine price, which really protected that road. I don't know if something would have been built in there. I think from a safety perspective, it would have been quite interesting. But that was a wonderful project. Not to mention Fensky. I don't know how long we've been talking about the Fensky property, but forever, as everybody who's involved in the Township Committee and open space, et cetera. So he's been there, he's worked on it. And some of the other projects he's worked on as well, you may not know, when the Ferber Farm sold, which really is not an open space acquisition, but in many ways it is. With the PSE&G folks and now the Great Swamp Watershed Association, he's been instrumental in doing that work as well. And to top it all off, you talked about the trail over on Green Village, certainly the trail on Hillside, but the trail on Green Village, that was moving kind of in very small steps. We couldn't get much further than I think the first 50 yards over that creek, and then, Joe came in and finally, got it all done, and now it's a great trail. It goes actually pretty far if you ever get a chance to walk the whole thing. I encourage everyone to do it. But the beauty of that is I'm driving by one day, and who's coming out with his weed whacker and rake, and it was Joe, just doing some trail maintenance. So even though he's been great in acquiring and doing the work to acquire these things and fix up trails, it's really, he takes pride in it and then goes out and supports it. So he really is truly a dedicated volunteer of this town, a great asset, and thank you, Joe, for all the work you've done.
Michael Kelly, former member of the Open Space Committee, and I'd just like to second all that was said about Joe. I think we don't appreciate the blend of skills that position requires, from ranging from the grantsmanship, geography and hydrology, to the working with people, making really very an inclusionary and involved committee. So it's a great combination of skills, Joe. So thank you for donating it all to the township.
We do? Okay, so the one more and then Zoo? Okay.
Bob Ewald, Wilson Drive. I too just wanted to thank you, Joe, for all that you do, especially around open space, and especially love the fact that in addition to the weed whacking, whenever I see you carrying a poop bag, it inspires me to do the same thing and pick it up. So that's a real quality and something I respect. And I so very much enjoy the passion that you and Danielle always bring and the enthusiasm. Anytime you're involved with anything, it's a fun event, and I learn a lot. So thank you very much.
I think we need to explain that poop bag comment.
You do have a dog.
There are a lot of other people in this room who also pick up other people's poop bags because, why does anyone want to see it there? No, I mean, thanks for recognizing my role as a facilitator for open space, but the heavy lifters, the ones who are really, really getting these great deals and projects across the goal line, are all the people who've sat up where you sat. Mayor, Marty, Mark, and I'm sure Mike and Jen over time. And Mayor Sullivan, she's had a huge impact on the town, Mayor Kelly, and all the people in this room. So I'm just, but the administrator's role is maybe maybe the biggest of all the administrators coming now to Z. But it really makes one wonder and be so impressed with the incredible people who come to this town and who volunteer and who work together and get amazing things done, which have a permanent impact on all 10,000 plus people in the town. And of course, we thank our families for supporting us, my wife and kids, because as you all know, spending all this time outside the home, how grateful you are to have families who support you doing that. So I thank you, and I especially thank all the people in this room and outside who make all this possible. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Did you have somebody else on Zoom? Yeah.
Hey, it's Jessica again from Pine Street, Romeo. I couldn't let this moment go by without acknowledging all Joe has done. Joe and I go way back, from Colony Pool to the community garden to our love of Green Village Pond Trail, one of our favorite spots in town. And he's just left an amazing legacy for our community. So thank you, Joe. We are so fortunate.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else on Zoom? Okay. Do you want to come on up, Joe? Mayor's message, okay. Okay. We are moving on to our hearing of citizens. In case any of the remaining citizens want to speak. Mr. LaConte, can you provide the guidance on the hearing of citizens, please?
As much as I can with my quality of voice. Members of the public are now welcome to come up to the microphone to address the Township Committee. This is an opportunity for any member of the public to be heard about issues which are not topics scheduled for public hearings tonight. Those present may step up to the microphones to be heard. If you are watching via Zoom, you may speak during any of the public comment sessions by following the Zoom instructions to raise your hand. Whether in person or online, when you are recognized to speak, please mind the following procedures. Please say your name, spell your last name, and give the name of your street. You do not need to give your street number. All public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Rather than use any of your time answering questions, the Township Committee will wait until you finish speaking before responding. There are 2 public comment sessions on tonight's agenda. Each member of the public will be limited to 1 comment of up to 3 minutes during each public comment period. Written comments submitted to the township clerk before 3 p.m. today, of which there were none, will be read during the public comment sessions. Written comments are subject to the same guidelines as oral comments. Duplicative written comments may be summarized rather than read in full, according to guidelines issued by the New Jersey Division of Local Government Services.
Thank you. So our hearing of citizens is open if anybody wanted to come up to the mic, or I will find out in a minute if anybody's on Zoom or has sent in any messages. Mr. LaConte, did anybody send in any messages?
No, it's indicated we did not receive any email.
Okay, no one on Zoom? Okay. In that case, I will close the hearing of citizens. And we will move to the mayor's message. In case anybody noticed, we did skip the Colony Pool Proclamation. We're moving that to the November meeting. And it's a Colony Association proclamation. On the consent agenda this evening, you'll find a resolution to award contracts for senior center lighting upgrades and for the fiber loop. The board of the senior center has been planning for this and other upgrades for some time now. The senior center, Chatham Borough, and Madison are all pitching in towards these improvements. Now that this final lighting contract has been awarded, we're pleased we can be part of making this important community resource an even more welcoming and pleasant place for our senior citizens to gather. The fiber loop has also been a long time in the works. This contract award will allow the township to move forward on a fiber optic network project funded by $1 million in federal grant money. The above-ground fiber connection integrates public safety equipment in town to technology and police headquarters for sharing with surrounding communities throughout Morris County and the state of New Jersey. The speed and capacity of the new network provides real-time public safety data from current situational awareness cameras, license plate readers, and other sensors to aid in investigating, responding to, and preventing crime in the region. Thank you to Chief Miller and our township engineer for their efforts in moving this project forward. I want to again thank Joe Bazralian, Pat Wells, and Martha Wells for their long-time service to our community. Chatham Township is very fortunate to have so many community volunteers who work to build and better our community. In fact, I want to make sure everyone is aware of our fall festival this Saturday, October 26th at Shunpike from 11 to 1, which is our first event run by our new volunteer events committee. Preceding that event, our Environmental Commission volunteers are coordinating a restoration project to restore the understory of Shunpike's Oak Grove. They're asking for volunteers from 8:30 to 10:30 on the 26th to help with planting and with erecting a fence. Thank you to our Environmental Commission volunteers for their efforts and for securing the funding to restore the Oak Grove understory. From our emergency squad and fire department to our library board, joint rec, open space, historical society, and so much more, we are very fortunate to have so many committed to making Chatham Township a place we're proud to call home. If you're wondering how you can get involved, please email me at sewald@chathamtownship.org or Mr. LaConte at glaconte@chathamtownship.org to learn about more opportunities. Thank you. I will move on to the Township Committee reports. Mr. Lois.
Thank you, Mayor. Colony Pool's upcoming meeting to review the season as in the past and report that we reviewed in workshop so that we'll be able to make some recommendations. We'll also have in there our capital
Wonderful.
improvement recommendations, especially for the log roll replacement, which has been something people are interested in. In addition to that, in my utilities liaison capacity, I've had inquiries from local businesses about the upgrades on for utilities, specifically the New Jersey American Water replacement on Green Village Road, and they've been asking about opportunities for relief for those businesses which are impacted due to traffic and volume. And I've been looking into that a little bit. It does not seem promising, but that is something that impacts our local businesses, and I think. Maybe it may be that we're doing another project in that area, and we might look into that as a committee. We're doing another project with the traffic light potentially at Green Village and Shunpike, and that's going to impact those businesses depending on the length and restoration of those projects. So maybe those are some things we could plan for proactively, or maybe make them aware of ahead of time, maybe even more than they were given notice this time. Okay, and I think that's, oh, and then I just want to extend a thank you and let the committee know that Mr. Choi has reached out to me and regarding this ordinance that we have for parks and fields. Everyone who's been at these meetings knows that I've been asking about Esternay Field being open, and I've heard a tacit plan, which I'm satisfied with, that there will be motion to work towards opening or giving more than the appearance of opening Esternay Field, so that it can be open during the day. So I'm satisfied with that, and I appreciate your help, Mr. Choi.
Thank you. Mr. McHugh.
Thank you, Mayor. Already mentioned in your quick summary, Saturday is a big day for the restoration project over at Shunpike Field, the old Castle Park area, and we look forward to that. If those who are in the room, give you another chance to see the Wells sisters in action, doing on the environmental side as opposed to the historic side. That'll be great. And following that, obviously, being the fall festival, if you hang around and do your work. So it's 8:30 to 10:30 there. The season is upon us where Adopt a Drain becomes pretty significant. They're turning colors and they're beautiful, but those leaves are going to be coming down. So if we can find more volunteers for adopting drains and the like, there's more to the story in that we are having actually a little competition with between October 31 and Thanksgiving Day with Berkeley Heights. We're participating in a friendly scariest drain contest. So take your pictures of the junk before the drain, and then take a picture when it's all clean, and you're even invited to wear costumes should you so desire. So that make work fun. A couple things that the Environmental Commission will be approaching, as reminded from some here on this dais, that we will be revisiting ideas inclusive of the tree bank and other, looking at what other towns are doing, and other, the permit application and other things. Try to move that along. And of course, the township tree removal ordinance as well. So pay attention, that's upcoming. And finally, there will also be upcoming, kind of planned by the EC in 2025 to give a little bit more input or insight or direction or suggestion regarding gas leaf blowers and the noise. And is there a solution to some of that as well? Moving on to the library, if you don't mind, because it's extensive and I didn't memorize this, I'll read along. The library is offering a variety of reading and writing opportunities for all ages, children, teens, and adults. It'll be the second half of October, so children can work on writing with Audrey or join the Children's Creative Writing Club at the library. All right? There's a new session of the Children's Book Club begins the first week of November. Teens also have their book club featuring A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. That'd be a pretty interesting one. On October 30th, the adult book club will meet to discuss Lily King's Writers and Lovers. There is going to be a session, Understanding Medicare. This is a lecture which will review Medicare Part A and B, Medigap, prescriptions, drug plans, and Medicare Advantage plans, and assist in making decisions for Medicare health insurance for 2025. It'll be offered a morning session on October 23rd and an evening section on October 30th. So pay attention if you're getting there, like some of us are getting pretty close. And the library is hosting a couple computer science events for children at the beginning of November and into December. Intro to Robotics is being held on November 5th, and a 6-session introductory class to the programming language Python will begin on Saturday, November 9th. I will make two other reminders or updates. If you have interest in involvement or watching or seeing or being involved in the library trustees meetings, it's been moved. It is typically the last Thursday of the month. However, it's been moved to midday on Thursday this week. So it's at noon, if that's something that you wish to pay attention to. If you might have missed the announcement, it has been announced, but if there's interest in that, it's a different time, so don't show up at 7 o'clock on Thursday evening. It's Thursday at noon. And then, in regarding Mr. Bezralian, he's been good enough to schedule a meeting for the Open Space Committee on October 30th, and hopefully we'll be discussing some of those things that are developing, such as the Hillside Trail and the Corn Crib, and how we're getting along with that particular project as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I did look up the, just to let everybody know, the Fall Fun Day. So certainly if you come to volunteer and clean, help with the understory planting from 8:30 to 10:30, but also for families. Again, it's 11 to 1, the Fall Fun Day. There's going to be pumpkin painting, arts and crafts. There will be music and food trucks. And the Girl Scouts are running a diaper drive, so I just wanted to make sure residents are aware of that, because it will be a fun family event, not just recovery event for the folks that are planting. So, okay, Committeewoman Rowland.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank the Chatham Township Volunteer Fire Department for their Community Appreciation Day a couple of weeks ago. That was a great event. We had a gorgeous day, and it was just a steady stream of people all day. Kids having a great time. They gave them fire hoses, and they had to, spray things. It looked really fun, and I wanted to jump in, but I held back. But no, it was a really beautiful day. I had a great opportunity to talk to a lot of people, and it was really great. In terms of the Historical Society, a lot of it has been mentioned, but there will be photos on display at the municipal building of the Great Swamp, and they are having a reception this Friday from 6 to 8 here at the municipal building, as well as the Red Brick Schoolhouse, which is open the first Sunday of every month. And that's it.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
I have nothing to report. I was going to share the Fall Fun Day, but that was robustly covered, so I think we'll jump right into the next stage.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if you hear noise in the background, they're still celebrating outside, that's why. Okay, so introduction of ordinances. Ordinance 2024-20, Parks and Fields Rules and Regulations. Mr. Shahadi, did you want to give, or Tiana, did you want to give an overview?
Sure. Thank you. This ordinance is the revised version that includes the revised language for the golfing with wiffle balls, and includes all the other park rules in addition that were originally proposed. It's just the addition is for the wiffle balls. Golf wiffle balls.
Okay.
Oh, I shouldn't say that. Golfing in designated areas or with wiffle balls outside of active play areas.
So why don't we have a motion to introduce and a second, and then we'll have discussion. Do I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? What letter was that? I did not get to check the latest version.
It's
Oh, I
E.
see it, E, okay. Any comments, questions? Okay. Can we have a vote, please?
Mr. Lois?
Yes.
Mr. McHugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Rowland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Choi?
Yes.
Mayor Ewald?
Yes.
Motion passes, and public hearing will be on November 12th.
Okay. And we have ordinance 2024-21, WPC capital ordinance, which I'll ask for a brief, mention of that as well, but we will have to pass resolution 2024-196 first before we can introduce the ordinance. Yeah, if you could do that, please.
Thank you. So, Mayor, the WPC capital ordinance, for the members of the public that may not be familiar, that's the water pollution control. That's our sewer utility. It is a utility, so it is self-liquidating, meaning it does not affect taxes. The appropriations under this ordinance are in the amount of about $650,000, and that is for items that our plant manager, Mike Hajar, who's done a great job, identifying capital needs, making sure that the plant is running smoothly, efficiently, and not outdated in as much as possible within the constraints of the budget. He identified some needs. Those needs were also vetted by our engineer, John Rushke, John Rushke presented previously at this governing body's meeting, in addition to preparing a report on what the plant needs in order to maintain its operations and its current capacity for critical infrastructure. That report and the items identified here were, made sure that these are absolutely necessary items, and we're fitting them all within the budget of the WPC utility, meaning it's the funds for the 650 are not being borrowed in any way. They're coming from the capital improvement fund of the sewer utility and the capital reserve of the sewer utility. So it's a fully funded ordinance, and the specifics of it are what are reflected in the capital budget in the resolution 2024-196, which is a procedural item that we need to do to further clarify the capital budget that's included in the operating budget that you've adopted earlier this year. And that's typically the process. You put in sort of placeholders and general numbers in that original capital budget, and then as you go to introduce your capital ordinance, that's where you'll refine them and amend it. And so that's what we're doing tonight.
Okay. So let's start with a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-196.
I make a motion to introduce Resolution 2024-196 to amend the capital budget.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, can I get a vote, please?
Mr. Lois?
Yes.
Mr. McHugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Rowland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Joy?
Yes.
And Mayor Ewald?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we're moving, so now we introduce. Okay, so I'm going to introduce ordinance, or I'm going to ask for a motion to introduce ordinance 2024-21, WPC capital ordinance.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, great. Any discussion? Can I get a vote, please? Oh,
I have one thing to say, but, well, I don't have any objection to this ordinance and to the resolution, and as, was articulated, this is self-liquidating. I do think that we need to carefully review how much capacity we added at the WPC. I'm not in favor of, I'm in favor of keeping the WPC, of course, operational. Everyone is. We need that, keep it up to date, but enhancing the WPC, and so far, this does not do that, but enhancing it and increasing the capacity of the WPC, I think we need to look at very carefully as to what that means for this community and what plans we're making in order to, accommodate. I mean, if you're upgrading your sewage plant, you're increasing capacity, it's because you anticipate an increase in usage. And if that has to do with increasing density, increasing development, I think that needs to be very carefully looked at. And I just want to make my position very clear on it, that this capital ordinance is, for all intents and purposes, in a layman's point of view, is already paid for and within the funds of the WPC. But this does lay the road towards spending a lot more money there. And so I would be very careful and cautious in the future about that. So thanks you for indulging me there.
Mr. Shahadi, does this open up additional capacity to the WPC?
No, this ordinance and the items that are included in there, if I may, Mayor, I'll just list them for the benefit of the public. It's replacing and rebuilding pumps at the plant. It's replacing a generator over at the Southside Pump Station. So the pumps are, we've got a number of pumps at the plant. Some of them are newer, some of them are well beyond the end of life. So that's replacing them to make sure that if one goes down, we've got the ability and redundancy to keep that running. Generator at Southside Pump Station, we've got a number of pump stations around town. Those are what keep the waste flowing, sometimes up. There's different elevations throughout the town, there's volume, so this is a generator at the pump that should power go out, that is not affected. The chemical treatment system at the plant, same thing. This is something that's aged and is due for replacement. We are doing I&I reduction studies and improvements. That is something that every year we try to undertake. For what that means, infiltration, inflow, there could be cracks, seepage, you know, other areas, weak points within the pipes in the township, which allow water, you know, storm water, clean water, otherwise getting into the sewer system, which means we're treating water that does not need to be treated, which increase costs and strain on the plant. So this helps us to identify where that is, and then we make repairs as necessary. And then an acquisition of a truck. You know, DPW is in need of a vehicle to replace an old vehicle over there. One of the elements we're evaluating in this purchase of the new truck is once we get some quotes and look at it more closely, whether that would include a crane, because right now we rent every time we need to lift some heavy equipment out of confined spaces and manholes and all. So having to rent a crane every single time adds to the operational expense, and if we have one, it allows our plant staff to respond more quickly and without having to rely on outside vendors. So that is to be determined, but that is what the 650 is for. So there's nothing here that's going to be affecting capacity. And then also when Mr. Rushke presented, what the focus was on is existing infrastructure and existing capacity, not anything in his report and what he's going to be starting to work on in the resolution that you'll see on the agenda this evening, preparing cost estimates and plans. That is on those critical elements for the plant as it currently stands with the capacity it currently has.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, can we get a vote, please?
Mr. Lois?
Yes.
Mr. McHugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Rowland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Choi?
Yes.
And Mayor Ewald?
Yes.
Motion passes. Public hearing on November 12th.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving to our consent agenda. I just want to check first if anybody wanted to move any items out for discussion. Okay, I think that's a first. I don't even know where to go when I'm going straight to approve the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved?
Can I get a second?
Second.
Mr. Lois?
Yes.
Mr. McHugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Rowland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Choi?
Yes.
And Mayor Ewald?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, we'll open our second hearing of citizens. Same rules apply. No one on Zoom? No. Okay. In that case, I will close our second hearing of citizens. And I will take a motion to move into executive session.
I move that we move into executive session on the second part of our meeting here.
Thank you. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second that. I'll second.
Thank you.
What is the purpose? Since we didn't have it on the agenda?
Contract negotiations.
And do we expect to take any action after?
No, we will not take any action after.
Okay, are we ready for a vote?
Yes, please.
Mr. Lois?
Yes.
Mr. McHugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Rowland?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Choi?
Yes.
And Mayor Ewald?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We are in executive session. We'll wait for